Hello, everyone. Welcome to the International Grain Forum, Black Sea and Danube monthly grain brief. It is our new online format. We will go with monthly analysis of the regional market every Tuesday, every first Tuesday in the month. My name is Vlado Kovačević, CEO of Commodity Exchange Novi Sad. It is my pleasure to moderate this meeting, and we do have two excellent experts with us, Mr. Peter Kish, President of the Hungarian Grain and Feed Association, and Bogdan Kostetsky, Commercial Director of the Barva Invest. Many thanks for both for being here. And first, Peter, many greetings and many thanks to you and your team for excellent 65th of the Commodity Exchange in Berlin conference. It was just excellent, and it is very useful for all our industry. And thanks once again for you as a member of the organizational board.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Peter, we may start with you if you like, and we do have basic questions in continental Black Sea region, as in Hungary, Serbia. The question is, are we a net exporter or we are becoming importer of the grain these days? Thank you. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It depends, and we will see. Unfortunately, the situation is very interesting in Hungary, and I think that due to the dry and hot weather during the summer, and due to this its effect on the crops, especially on the summer crops, the producers' approach to the market is like not selling at all. Let's wait until the end of the season. Maybe we can get a better price. So this will absolutely will give let's say difficult market for the traders and also for the local industry. Before doing this, let me introduce the Hungarian Grain and Feed Association for you just briefly, just for you to understand who we are and whom I'm representing right now. So if I can have the next page, then there's a short summary of the Grain Association. So we were founded in 1991. We have 149 members. They are Hungarian trading and industrial companies. We have three sections within the Hungarian Grain Association. We have the traders, grain processors, and compound feed producers. We can say that the traders, they are representing about 80% of the Hungarian grain and oilseeds export. In respect of grain processors, we represent 90% of the wheat flour production and 100% of the ethanol production. And in compound feed production, we represent 80% of the premix production and roughly 70% on the compound feed production in Hungary. So we are quite strong. We know pretty much pretty well what is going on the market. We are members of COSERAL and FIFAC on the lobbying side, and we are members of the EC, the European Commodity Exchange. This is the consortium that organizes the European Exchange. And thank you very much for your nice words in respect of the Berlin EC. And thank you very much on behalf of the German colleagues, because this is the German associations, especially four associations who organized this European exchange, and I think it was a successful one. If we go to the next slide, we can see that, I hope you can see, that we have an interesting year in respect of the grain crops or the grain production. Due to the drought and hot weather, we expected that wheat, barley, maize is going to be bad. But in fact, wheat and even barley was better than expected. We had the official figure is 5.4 million metric tons of wheat, which means that we could have an exportable surplus of roughly 2.5 million metric tons in Hungary. In barley, we have 1.6 million metric tons, which is, I don't say there is nothing extraordinary. I would say that it is more or less what we expected and in a normal circumstances. And in the barley, we do not expect too much export, maybe 500,000 tons, due to the fact that recently Pannonia Ethanol is buying also barley and taking up roughly 200,000 tons of barley from the local market. And we have maize, which is the official figure is 4 million metric tons, but we think that since the harvest is not over yet, so we are going to end up maybe around the level of 3.7 million metric tons, which is quite low comparing to the previous or the usual years. So what happened in the Hungarian market? So all the producers, when they realized that the maize is going to be bad, they started to hold back the goods from the market, whether it is wheat, whether it is barley, whether it is anything else. They didn't want to sell because they said that we do not want to sell maize because the compound feed industry and the industry, the maize processing industry, will have to pay up the price because there will be a lack of goods. Now, what happened during summer? The prices both in wheat and barley went up to the roof, I would say. And we realized that the Hungarian wheat and barley prices and maize prices were the highest in Europe. So we have never seen such high prices comparing to the international market. But by doing this, unfortunately, the Hungarian producers missed the opportunities to sell at high prices in wheat and barley, because the Italian market, which is the main market for the Hungarian raw materials, was reducing prices due to the European and international price development. So while we could see reducing prices on the international market, in Hungary we saw an increasing price locally. And as a result of this, and the Hungarian market is outpriced, we do not export anything for the time being, bits and pieces in wheat. But in case of maize, for instance, we have washouts, and unfortunately circles are formed because simply the Hungarian producers are not selling, and simply the Hungarian exporters are not able to fulfill their contracts, which were concluded in May or April, May. So now washout is going on right now. So what is more, in Hungary, we see a big import of maize, especially from Poland and Slovakia, because we need aflatoxin with maize and without aflatoxin or very low aflatoxin. And interestingly, we also import from Germany. Price levels, if we are talking about roughly 202 euro per metric tons delivered to the processing companies like Hungrana and Pannonia. And this is mainly for the November-December position, but for instance, Hungrana is quoting the same price for the first quarter of next year. And it seems that import is more competitive than the local market. The local sellers are not selling at these levels. Regarding aflatoxin, we still have problems with aflatoxin, but it seems that we have less problem than it was in the previous season. But simply the producers are not selling, and they do not wish to go ahead. Maybe they will come to the market in April, May, or something like that. If you go to the next slide, of course, if you have questions, you can decide. You can ask questions now, or you can wait until we finish, let's say, the oilseeds, and then we can discuss further if you need more information. If you go to the next slide, which is going to be the oilseeds, this is the thank you, and this is the oilseeds. Yeah. Then what we can see is that we were a little bit afraid of the drought, and the expectations were that sunseed, rapeseed, and also soybeans are going to be very bad. But in spite of that, sunseed was better than expected. Rapeseed, in fact, it was better than expected, and soybean was not so bad either. So what we see is that The most liquid market is in sunseed for the time being, because the prices are good. Roughly, we are talking about 200, around €200 for the low Elo Hungarian sunseed on free on truck basis. If you are talking about how or HO high oleic content, we are talking about 220, maybe 230. Somewhat this is the range free on truck, and this is a good price for the Hungarian producers. So they are ready to sell at these levels. But also we imported quite a lot from Romania, for instance, especially at the beginning of the season. Rapeseed is we have a daily price, and usually the prices are 30 under Matif. This is the rough level. Or 15. It depends where we are, because if you are talking about Brook, for instance, this is 15 under Matif. If you are talking about Martfood, this is 30 under Matif, and this is how they quote the daily prices. In respect of soybeans, we have some sellers on the local market, but the prices are different. The best payer for the soybean, this is Komárom. In respect of Komárom, they quote prices roughly €420 delivered to the plant. But if we are talking about Adony, Baja, they are just quoting roughly €400 per ton. Komárom is importing soybean from Ukraine, by the way. So and they are also importing from Slovakia. So they are not really based on the Hungarian production. Hungarian producers are not very aggressive in selling soybeans for the time being, but we think that sooner or later they have to come to the market and to sell their products. So I think this is a kind of general overview. Again, the producers are not very aggressive. They are not too pushy to sell. They want to wait and to wait for the best prices. We don't know when the best prices will come. If I look at the European, and let's focus now on the European market. If I look at the European grain market, especially the wheat and barley prices, I do not know why they should go up, and why the Hungarian producers should get higher prices than anybody else in the European Union. As regards oilseeds, oilseed is a more liquid price, more liquid market for the time being, and the price depends highly on the international market, especially Chicago and also the oil market. There are daily prices, but I think that sooner or later the Hungarian producers will be more ready to sell oilseeds than grains. Thank you very much. That would be my summary. If you have questions, feel free to ask.
Many thanks, Peter, for excellent presentation and presenting the Hungarian Grain and Feed Association. It is very important to network among each other within the region, and thank you for excellent presentation. I would like to ask our dear attendees to join by just putting the question suggestion in the comments in the comment box. So we will try to answer now or afterwards. So I will just maybe refer, Peter, to your Serbian market from the commodity exchange Novi Sad point is pretty much similar. Only difference is that we had like a pretty low yield of soybean, and we are seeing import in Serbia of the soybean right now. We are looking at the wheat price. It's around ex-work. It's 177 euros per ton, and the corn is for several months higher than the wheat, so 188 roughly. Soybean 422. So that's the situation right now. The question by the traders are same as in Hungary: what to do to keep the goods, or to wait, or what will be the right move right now. So So we will see, but right now we do have a lot of wheat because yield was excellent, quality is very good. So that's the situation right now in Serbia, and I'll pass the Bogdan to give us a little bit more on the Black Sea market and the global geopolitical issue, another issue very important for our region as well. Thank you, Bogdan. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Vlado. Peter, it was interesting. Can you specify, by the way, Peter, regarding the soybeans while I upload my presentation? What is the quality of soybeans? You said you get 420 euros delivered to the Hungarian plant, right? This is non-GMO material.
Non-GMO, right? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's clear. Well, I have prepared also a presentation, and I hope you see it now on your screens.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this presentation in particular, it focuses on corn and wheat, but I will also, after I presented the slides, I will comment on the oilseeds prices. I'll just voice some of my prices, some of the news on the oilseeds generally. And I would like to complete with some observations. And then, of course, the hottest topic of last week was the agreement between the US and China. I'd like to spend a little bit of time on that as well. And personally, this is addressing to all attendees. I don't like to spend too much time in front of the slides during the public meetings, online meetings. I think the best environment to look at the slides is in peace and quiet. You will all receive this presentation after our meeting, and I will just go through the slides briefly, and I encourage everyone to be proactive. Let's make it as interactive as possible, this communication. Please generate questions, post them in this special section, and we will discuss. So let's begin. We'll start with corn. This slide here is basically showing you how late we are with harvested areas. We have done right now about 40% of ministry plan. The reason is simple. There was wet weather, and most of the efforts of the farmers were dedicated to sunflower seeds and soybeans harvesting because they are much more vulnerable quality preservance wise. As of last Thursday, we have harvested 10.3 million tons of corn. We expect 32 million tons of corn this year, and basically the yields are looking quite nice. Actually, we are right now looking at an average of 6.2 tons per hectare, and this bearing in mind that a lot of areas are still remaining not harvested. You can see that some of the most yieldy regions like let's say Sumy, Chernihiv, Kyiv, including the many areas remain unharvested still. Vinnytsia, some Poltava, a lot of improvement, potential improvement on the yield is there basically. As to the exports, of course, they are very slow because we are entering the season with minimal carry-ins, relatively small carry-in in corn, and the harvest is late. So right now we have done only about 4% of our export potential, which is estimated at approximately 26 million tons. Yeah, that's basically the other projection of what I have just said. Let's stop at this slide a little bit longer. As you can see, we are basically, with our total production, we are back to normal historical levels. There was a record season right before the full-scale invasion when we have harvested almost 43 million tons of corn. Right now we are looking at 31.6, maybe 32 million tons. We will have a stable domestic consumption. We expect 26.7 export potential, but I have my serious doubts that Ukraine will be able to utilize and find home for all of this surplus. So my feeling is that this 0.8 million tons ending stocks, which we envisage for the 25-26, this number could be actually quite a lot larger. It could be 2, 3, 4 million tons because if you try to do the flow and distribute this volume, 26 million tons across the countries of destination, bearing in mind that the Spanish market was quite actively bombarded with US corn, and they are almost completely covered through the end of this year. Some of the importers in Spain say that they are 100% covered, but I always feel that they have potential to speculate a little bit, to depress the prices, saying that we don't need. Right now, that means that we've lost a chunk of our core demand. Spanish market is a core demand area for Ukrainian corn. And in my opinion, Ukrainian corn has to be much more competitive. The only thing which is keeping it up right now is late harvest and the delay of this harvest push arrival. In my opinion, January, February, March, Ukrainian corn prices will have to be much sharper to win back the destination markets. If our farmers remain proud and they have enough cash flow, that means that we will simply have larger carry out. So, well, one of the reasons why the liquidity leaves to desire for better is rapidly increasing cost of logistics. We gave you here a couple of samples from eastern and western. Kharkiv is east of Ukraine, Ternopil is west of Ukraine. You can see how rapidly the hryvnia-denominated prices are increasing both for trucks and rail. I will just tell you that since 2 weeks, we have increased the cost of delivery to the ports by approximately $12 to $15 per ton. So you can imagine how discouraging it is to potential sellers to take this burden on. Most of them postponing the selling, expecting the logistic costs to become lower in the second half of the season. I'm not so sure if they will be really right in this expectation, because we have to remember always that we are in the middle of the horrible and very destructive war, and we have constant attacks on the rail infrastructure, on the electrical grid of Ukraine, on the port infrastructure. Every day, we have every night drones, we have bombs flying, we have ballistic rockets flying, and this could be a sign that Russia will finally will try to finally create the worst winter of all the winters we've had since they started this full-scale invasion. And that means that we might simply have no electrical power, no logistical capacity to execute. And that doesn't mean that logistics will become cheaper. But, it's very difficult to speculate on war and to trade the war factor. So I just had to say it, I guess. So, Vlado, you asked to have a look at the Balkans a little bit in respect of price replacement. This is probably the only slide where we can see how expensive the Romanian corn is, because, well, obviously everybody is aware that there was very poor yield and poor crop in Romania. And right now we hear that the prices there are at least $15–20 higher than they are from any other origins. Yeah. Right now, if you calculate the replacements to CIF Spain, Ukraine would be competing with US very closely. I would say already we are at approximately the parity to $140 CIF Spain. Then the next one after that is Brazil, and Romania is the last. And yeah, that's basically the current situation. But for what I hear, the Spanish market is already nicely covered, and they're considering to buy at the flat levels 240 CIF for January, February, March. This also relates to Italian market. It is also very densely covered, I would say, for the remaining months of this calendar year. So, and their price ideas are relaxed for January, February, March. They're also expecting to buy within $240 CIF Adriatic Italy. They're a little bit concerned right now because the contracts which they have booked are obviously being delayed. A lot of bookings were done from Ukraine. The crop is late there. And in normal circumstances, we would have already at least 15–20 million tons of corn, but as of last Thursday, we have 10. I think that delay is about 2–3 weeks. By the third decade of November, our market will be already on top of about 20–22 million tons of corn. And this will saturate the market and will probably push the farmers to sell more. Well, basically, this slide here, it conveys that how little is the harvest progress, basically. The worst one was only back in 2022, the year of the full-scale invasion, when we had the carry-in of about 7 million tons because the deep ports were blocked. And in all the other years, we had almost like 20 million tons. So spiced up with the increased logistic costs because the owners of the rail cars and the owners of trucks, they were really desperate and I would say in red, losing money last 5-6 months, but now they think that the time has come for them to earn money, and a lot of increase of the rail tariff is speculative. That's why not only the delay of the crop arrival, but also the costlier logistics are pushing the liquidity period back. As to our price expectations, we expect that the trend in Ukraine during the nearest weeks will be spiced up with the short squeeze, late crop arrival, and costlier logistics. So expect situatively higher prices because a lot of charterers will have to choose the lesser of the evils, to keep the vessel on the marriage or pay up, or replace as per GAFTA contracts the delayed shipments with the spot supplies and then invoice the seller, placing him in default. But for the longer term, I would be a seller for January, February, March. I think that this will be the period when the market will be fully saturated. The logistics will be already, more or less rhythmic, hopefully, if we don't get too much destruction from this aggressor to the east from us. Global trend is neutral for nearby, in my opinion, but I think that long term, with this record US crop, we will have to become sharper as well. This relates to the US corn. And a few slides on wheat, basically the same pattern. First of all, we are already planting the winter wheat, and the planting campaign is going quite well. I think we are on top pace of the planted areas because we have really welcome rains, providing the sufficient soil moisture. We are already at about 90+% of the ministry plan for the planting area. Our forecast is 4.9 million hectares versus ministry's 4.7, almost 4.8 million hectares. Ukrainian wheat is underperforming in exports, although you will see here the S&D. I will jump over for a couple of slides so that you have a general perception of what's happening. We will harvest in this year at least 22.4, maybe 22.5 million tons, a very similar crop to the previous year. And, apologies, 25-26 is 23.1. And the exportable surplus is estimated at 16.7 million tons, right? However, if you look at the performance of our percent of our need, we are actually behind most of the previous years. I would say the reason for that is, well, first of all, we have very aggressive competitor. Russia is supplying wheat on FOB Novorossiysk, just for your information, 12.5% wheat. 12.5% protein wheat is offered at 232 for December, and the bids are closer to 230. And at the same time, Ukrainian 11.5 protein wheat is offered 229, and the bids are like 26, 27. So obviously, if you are a milling wheat consumer, you will go and buy in Russia at low 230s FOB, just $3, maybe $4 more expensive than 11.5 protein wheat in Ukraine. And most of the times, Ukrainian 11.5 protein wheat is a blend of few varieties, not varieties, but protein content wheats. It could be feed wheat with protein 9-10%. It could be better protein like 12 and higher percent, and 11% protein blend. So always you have this factor of unstable quality, which is always bad for the consumers. When you go buy in Russia, you are very sure that you get at least 12.5% protein and all the specs. So it's not just the price spread, but also the stability of the quality. So that's why, Ukraine was participating as origin for Algerian tenders, and now they're getting executed. Those tenders were done at 232 to 34 FOB equivalent for October, for November, and I think this is what is driving the market right now. But we have very minimal lineup right now, probably within 200,000 tons, which is seasonally and historically very low tonnage. So as you can see, we are underperforming our export plan. If we actually supposed to ship 16.7 million tons, and during the periods of August, September, we were always very actively shipping to Far East destinations like Indonesia, Philippines. We've missed this window. Americans are bombarding these destinations with their wheat. Now that Australian crop is coming up and they're expecting quite high crop number of 37 million tons of wheat, I think we can forget about Asia, and it will be difficult for Ukrainian origin wheat to find demand for the remaining approximately 10 million tons for January, June. So basically, S&D, we had a look at our expectation for wheat price for short term is neutral. Long term, I think we have potential because Russians could introduce export quotas as they typically do in January for the remaining part of the season. This supports the market always, and similarly to the global trend. Now, I would like to say a couple of words about Barva Invest. What we do basically is two things. We provide agency support, which is what we call brokerage. We don't call ourselves brokers because brokerage activity is licensed in Europe. And we are agents for our clients. Most of our clients use our services to find the best buyers. We also provide, and this originally was what we did, we provide analytical services and trading strategies. We outsource our services to biggest and medium-sized producers in Ukraine to help them sell at better prices. Always bearing in mind their footprint, their cash flow bottlenecks, their logistical bottlenecks. And yeah, that's what we do for almost 6 years. I don't think that there are other companies in Ukraine which actually are helping with the price risk management and really have experience of practical trading. I've spent more than 20 years trading for ABCDs. Let's put it this way, I don't want to list all the companies I worked for. Being a part of the commercial teams at the top level. So yeah, it's not just talented analytics we have, but also the practical understanding of the market. Now, I would like to give a couple of comments regarding the oilseeds. I'm sorry, I did not prepare slides for the oilseeds, but I can tell you that, well, the oilseed season is a mess this year. We were expecting in June sunflower seeds crop of about 14 million tons, but unfortunately, we witnessed almost 3 million tons of sunflower seeds getting burned. I think it was a similar situation in some of the Balkan countries, in Romania and Southern Federal District of Russia, where very poor yields were registered in the south. Approximately half a ton in average was harvested in the south, some better yields in the north. So basically, expecting in the beginning of summer 14 million tons, now we will be lucky if we harvest 11.2 million tons. So you can imagine the degree of this disaster. There was just horrible scenes and photographs and videos from the fields when the blossoming flowers of sunflower seeds were just simply collapsing in the hands of farmers because they were so dry and hot. So I think this is a really difficult season for most of the crushers in Ukraine. Right now we have a coverage of the crushers at approximately maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and the crush margins are negative in very frequent cases, especially if you're located in the south of the country, or if you're smart enough and lucky enough to position yourselves into long position. You know, the oil sunflower oil prices were rallying until last Wednesday, and those who traded out of long positions, they are more or less better off. So in Ukraine, we have 23 million ton of crush capacity for all kinds of oil seeds. Out of this 23 million tons, estimated 6-7 million tons are multi-crush plants, which can process soybeans, rapeseeds, and sunflower seeds. Crush margins in soybeans and rapeseeds are better than in sunflower seeds. However, the deficit of raw material is really evident. You know, we will have 11.2 million tons of sunflower seeds. Approximately, we will have 5.5 million tons of soybeans, and we will have approximately 3 million tons of rapeseeds. And out of this tonnage, which is in total approximately 20 million tons, at least 4 million tons will go to exports. 2 million tons of rapeseeds, 2 million tons of soybeans. Sunnies will not go because they have the restrictive export duty. So 23 million capacity and 16 million ton availability. You can imagine how difficult the season will be for the owners of the crush industry. But not only fundamentals have spoiled the show. We also had the very abrupt and spontaneous decision by the government to install the export duty for rapeseeds and for soybeans for middlemen. Farmers apparently could export without paying the duty. So when this norm came into force in the beginning of September, it turned out that for customs office, there is no official procedure how to identify that you are a farmer and you are actually exporting your own produce. So everybody had to pay 10% export duty, and it was a total mess. And now many people who had the pipeline logistics and loaded vessels, they had to pay it to avoid the vessel demurrage. And there is no clear procedure how to refund those unjustly paid duties. So as a result, we had a really horrible export months of September, also really erupted months of October. And basically, you know, it was a disaster. I think that the seasonality of rapeseed exports got really broken. You can imagine we have 3 million tons of rapeseeds. Out of this amount, approximately 1 million, maybe 800,000 tons is in hands of the crushers, is being crushed or in their storages. Approximately 1 million tons is 1.2 maybe is done by the exporters, exported and in their pipeline. And we still have 1 million tons of rapeseeds unsold. Normally in November, we would be rounding up the rapeseed export season. And now this tonnage is basically sitting there because now the corn is priority to be dried and delivered to the port. So coming to the prices, rapeseed prices are actually premium to European prices. Right now, I think that what Ukrainian values are conveying would have to be German terms CIF ARAC +5 +10 to February contract, right? And the actual bids there are closer to +1 +2. So basically, Ukrainian rapeseed is outpriced versus the European rapeseed. The European farmers are more eager suppliers and sellers to local crush plants than the Ukrainian ones. So that's speaking of the Ukrainian rapeseed. Just for your information, prices to the delivered to the ports with 44% oil content is about $550 CPT port or low 560s FOB. As to the soybeans, the market is undersupplied this year. Last year we harvested 7.5 million tons of soybeans, and this year we will harvest 5.5 million tons of soybeans. Ukrainian crush industry will easily digest 3 million tons. So that means that we will have about 1 million ton at least underscore in export supply of soybeans. And the prices right now delivered to the port is $400 plus. For GMO beans, non-GMO premium is $40, so about $440 plus delivered to the port. And just to give you the sense of the sunflower seed market, delivered to the plant prices right now are approximately $690 to $700, including VAT. This price is, I would say, it's really destructive for the crush plants. Typically, in this time of year, they would have $40, $50 gross crush margin at least. But right now, their gross crush margin is, I think, within maybe best case zero. So basically, you pay your overheads, you pay your how you call it, amortization, you pay your salaries, you pay basically fixed and running costs, and you end up with zero. But of course, the idling plant and the standing plant without processing is even worse. So this would be my end of commodity speech. I now invite the questions, and or maybe we can talk a little bit about geopolitics. In my opinion, I will just try to make it short and sweet. Maybe Peter will add a little bit more. I think that Mr. Trump, or how he's called by my fellow friends from the industry, king of chaos. I think he's a very talented guy, presenting what he's calling an achievement, but in fact it's not an achievement. I will give you just two examples. One example is Japanese visit, and when he signed and swaggered around that he has a big victory. Japan will buy $8 billion of agri-commodities per year, but Japan has always been buying this commodity volume per year. And this was like 9, 10, 11 billion. Striking a deal with Chinese for soybean shipments, I think this is also, to be honest, nothing burger, as my friend says, because it's just back to normal. China has always historically taken 25 million tons, at least 25 million tons out of 100 plus million tons soybean imports. from the US. So in my opinion, it's just I think he lost it big time. I think Americans really miss cards. They don't have enough strong cards to play, but they do their best to present it as a victory. So yeah, that would conclude my speech, guys. I'm sorry if I took too much time, and if you have questions, you are welcome to address them.
Bogdan, many thanks for your presentation, and Peter as well. So we do have a question for Bogdan. It says spread between EU feed wheat and corn from Ukraine has narrowed a lot this year. Will that have influence for corn export out of Ukraine?
Well, first of all, speaking of the EU feed wheat, I understand that this market is closed for Ukraine because of the new trade agreement, where we have total of 1.3 million tons of wheat to be shipped during the calendar year of 2026, and a little bit more than 700,000 tons since July this year to December this year. So I think this junction of feed wheat and corn is erupted. I know that a lot of Baltic feed wheat and a lot of French low quality and UK feed wheat is actually moving to the Spanish market. Speaking of Ukrainian market, it's probably worth to spend a little bit more time on utilizing the quality of our wheat. Yes, we have probably at least half of our wheat is like qualified like feed wheat, but most of this wheat, about 80%, is actually it contains protein. At least 9%, sometimes 10%, sometimes 10.5%. Protein is achievable and allocatable in our feed wheat, so-called feed wheat. So Ukrainian grade 4, or they call it also feed wheat, is actually something which is getting actively blended into the milling wheat parcels to optimize the cost. Currently, the spread between feed wheat and milling wheat is about $10, I would say. You pay $210 for grade 4 and $220 for grade 3. Corn right now is approximately in parity with feed wheat. I think maybe it's $3, maybe $4 cheaper. But a lot of this premium will melt away as soon as we have a short squeeze covered, or logistical squeeze covered, or harvest delay squeeze covered. I think we will go to classic spread of corn to feed wheat ratio of about up to $10 per ton. The corn will probably be in January, in my opinion, closer to $200, and feed wheat, so-called feed wheat, will be $210 plus. So, Vlado, please repeat the question because I think I did not answer it still.
I believe you did. So it is mentioned that split between EU feed wheat and corn from Ukraine has narrowed, and will that influence corn exports? Would it be?
Well, you know, traditionally corn has to be cheaper than wheat, right? So I think that the influence will be minimal. In my opinion, the major influence for corn shipment to EU is we are not competitive replacement wise. We are very close now. We are approaching to be competitive, but there has been a very heavy bombardment of American origin corn, which is right now in New Orleans. You can buy it with approximately 100 cents to December contract basis, which is approximately $210 FOB. And you add $32 freight for Panamax to Spain, and you are arriving at maybe 240, low 240s, 240 CIF. But you know, okay, it's GMO, but Spain actually doesn't care. I mean, they're okay with, they're even, I heard they prefer American quality because it has less broken and so on. So calculating back to 40 to Ukraine, I think we will be looking at something like 218 FOB if you apply Panamax freight. And this means that it has to be 208 CPT port without any margins along the supply chain. So another $2-3 down, 205. And right now the short squeeze, people have to pay 209. So in my opinion, we're close, but we need to really fill up the market with physical supply. And that's most important for Ukrainian corn.
Okay, thank you very much. Peter, it's not easy question for you. We are getting from Serbia for continental Europe. Do you see in the next following few months any drivers to increase the the wheat prices in Europe?
No.
No, I agree with you.
No, because what Bogdan mentioned as well, that there's a big competition right now from Russia. But don't forget that European Union is producing 20 million tons of wheat this year. So, and it is going to be weighing on the market. So the Europeans must be aggressive. Of course, we have a difference because normally we have a good quality in Europe. So while we can import, let's say, Ukrainian feed wheat, the same amount of quality wheat we can export from the European Union. But if we look at in general the northern hemisphere, but also we can talk about the southern hemisphere as well. The production in wheat, maize, and soybean is very, very good. So there is no signs of any hiccups in the supply chains. The goods are there. So we don't see any reasons right now why the European prices are, let's talk about European prices, why the European prices should go up. I would rather contrary, since Europe must compete with the US, with Russia, with Ukraine, we must be more aggressive. So yeah, but also just as an example, we tried to sell wheat in June, July to Italy from Hungary, and we were beaten by the Germans. Germany sold at least 10 euro lower to Italy than the Hungarian wheat prices, and obviously the Italians were happy to buy German wheat because it is more quality than the Hungarian. It is German feed wheat, but in fact it is better quality than the Hungarian wheat. So yes, yeah, that's the problem.
It's a good point. Thank you, Peter. And one question for Bogdan regarding to geopolitical, just the negotiation is going on with China and US. Have you any guess how will affect the Black Sea and Danube market?
I definitely believe that there will be influence on soybean market. Because number of destinations. Okay, Ukraine is not such a big player on soybean. When we produce 5-6 million tons, and monsters like Americas are producing 100 plus, you might seem like a small factor, a small player in the field. But I think what is important for Ukraine is that number of destination markets are so remote, so nearby to us and remote to the big producers like Brazil and the United States. We are basically across the road from such destination markets like Turkey, like Greece, and Northern Africa. So seasonally, there is a nice window for us between January, February, March to place some of the nice volumes to those markets. And those markets in turn are driven by the Chicago and by basis, by premiums. So I think that the fact that the soybeans have increased by at least right now 12% since last 3 weeks, this definitely lifts up the ceiling over replacement value for Ukrainian origin soybeans. I think that adjacent to that is corn, because there are a number of players in the market who basically trade spreads in corn and wheat, corn and soybeans. So overall, my feeling is that thanks to this trade deal, or let's call it, as you rightly said, Peter, before we went live, that Trump seems to be creating problems and then solving them by putting things back to normal. And showing it off as a victory. But I think back to normality means that maybe we have passed the cheapest part of the season and we left it behind us. And this trade deal, I remind you that tomorrow there will be a sitting of the American court, which has to rule how legal Trump's tariffs are at all. So if they rule that they are legal, I think that China will be moving to sign this trade agreement. if they don't, then America is screwed. I think America will be in big trouble if their own court will say that Trump's tariffs are illegal. That means that he has to return the money he charged up till now, and this will collapse America. So that's why I think that the court will rule them legal. Chinese will formalize it and sign it, and that means, in my opinion, that we will have the cheapest prices of the season left behind us, and we will be able to enjoy a little bit better life for farmers, and some better liquidity and better earnings along the supply chain.
Okay, Bogdan, many thanks. Bogdan, many thanks to you. Many thanks to Peter. We do have another question, but we may answer in the comments afterwards. So it was just excellent, very valuable presentation for all of our attendees, I'm sure. So thanks again for your time and your excellent expertise today. And thank you all of attendees for joining us. And we see you next week in our monthly regional grain brief. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.